Hello, my name is Vince Romo. The show you're about to see is about barrio lifestyle, about being raised in the barrio, being from the barrio, the do's and the don'ts, the what's and the where's, the who's and the how's. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Barrio Driven. Today I'm with Vero Arellano, also known as Stranger from Parque. Vero, thank you for sitting with us today. If you want to give the audience a quick brief introduction of yourself, please do.
Hi everybody, I'm Veronica Arellano, also known as Stranger. I am original homegirl from Echo Park, and a lot of you guys might know me from that iconic movie, Mi Vida Loca.
Thank you for sitting here. Vero, tell us about your childhood.
Man, growing up, so for those of you guys that don't know, I was born in Inglewood, California, and I was about 3 years old when I moved to Echo Park. All my family was already living there, and my parents separated, and I was living in Echo Park in my grandfather's basement with my mother and brothers and sisters. And that was home to me. I lived right in back of Dodger Stadium.
Wow.
Elysian Park was my playground. Right. The corner gas station was our playground.
Right on.
Yeah, so I grew up there, and everybody that I grew up from the neighborhood, we were all childhood friends. We started off at elementary school, junior high together, high school, and we just grew from there. And
tell me about your parents. What kind of parents did you have?
I had good parents. My dad was, he worked for the city of Inglewood. He was a heavy equipment mechanic for the police and fire department. My mom worked for the Bank of America and Bank of Trust, something like that. But she was, she dealt with the money marketing. So she was moving money, stocks and bonds and stuff like that.
As you're telling me that you had good parents, how did you get involved in a barrio lifestyle since, you were raised in, as you said, in a good home? How did that happen?
My parents separated when I was about 3. They separated, and that's when we moved to Echo Park. My mom didn't want nothing to do with my dad. My dad drank. He drank, and he was abusive at times. I was a baby. I really don't remember much, but I do remember like the fightings and like the beer bottles being broken and stuff like that, right? Yeah. A lot of the stories I remember from like just hearing my brothers and sisters like talking about it.
Was your dad abusive towards you and your siblings, or was it just kind of like honestly abusive to himself? Was it just like, drinking, the alcohol, was he hurting himself more than he was hurting you guys? Yeah,
more himself, and then just verbally towards my mom.
Towards your mom?
Yeah.
Towards your mom.
Yeah.
Now you said that you lived with your grandparents, right?
Yes.
Tell me about your grandparents.
They were the most humblest, cool, old school grandparents ever. Wow. My grandfather would, he loved jazz music. Wow. And he had this old recorder that with the reels. Yeah. And I don't know what day it was. I want to say it was a Wednesday or whatever, but I remember it was like 6 o'clock at night, and he would put his little headphones on, and he was recording his jazz music. And he would just sitting there in his pajamas with his coffee, his jazz music, and my grandmother off to the side watching TV. They were really cool. They were really good grandparents to me. They took us in, and I would always remember and cherish that.
It seems like you came from a good childhood. Your grandfather, he listened to jazz. My grandfather didn't listen to jazz. My mom and dad, they didn't. They weren't like that. You sound like, you're not saying they were bad, horrible, but it's like listening to you, it's like, wow, you sound like you came from a really solid, foundation. Yeah. How did you transition from growing up like that, to being a homegirl from your barrio? How did that happen? And how old were you when you first got in your neighborhood?
So my mom was very prideful. She didn't want nothing from my dad. Yeah. So a lot of my structure and learning responsibilities, all that came from my mom. So seeing her being the single parent, getting her first 1-bedroom apartment with 4 kids, and that's because she didn't want to take money from my dad. Yeah. So watching her become that independent woman and building what she has now and what she did for us growing up was what made me like a solid person and the person who I am now. My dad was the money maker, and because she never took money from him, he would pick us up every weekend. So every weekend we were at the malls. I had brand new shoes, Levi's, like every weekend it was. So I would always say I was like the spoiled type of little, you know, rich kid homegirl, but we were so humbled, and I think we're all like that. All my siblings are like that, but I think because we learned that from my mom, we were more with her. My dad was just a weekend dad, so we didn't have him Monday through Friday to really experience what it would have been like to actually grow up with both parents.
Yes.
So learning to adjust to what we had at home because mom provided is how I believe that's why I'm such a humble and giving person. I went to elementary school that everybody went to in the neighborhood. Everybody that's from my neighborhood is like family.
Yeah.
It's all family, you know, generational families, and that's how we grew up. It's crazy. I got into my neighborhood probably about 13 years old, but hanging out in the streets, I was out in the streets already like at 10 years old because my mom was working.
Yeah.
Her, you know, that was her responsibility to provide for us, and the only way I was able to go out and hang out was if I went with my brother. But the street that I grew up on, which was Morton Avenue, that was the street that all the kids were on.
Yeah.
So the homeboys were there, the drug dealing was up the street, the middle section was where all the kids would play, the bottom where the gas station was, where the girls, you know, would hang out and to stay away from like the stuff up that was going on up the avenue, right? And
so you basically did this on your own.
Yeah.
Basically, kind of, am I right? Because you're saying that your mom was a good mom, your dad was a good dad. Yeah, he drank. You had good grandparents, but because your mom did work, you were out on the street a lot.
Yeah.
And because you were out on the street a lot, as a lot of youngsters, their parents, by single parents, they're out on the street. They go with their friends, they go to the neighborhood, they go to the liquor store, they go here, they go there, and we sometimes become a product of our environment because that's the environment that you were raised in. That's what attracted you to.
Yes.
You were attracted to the homeboy, you were attracted to the homegirl, to that lifestyle, am I right?
Yes. So all my friends in elementary were already like the little Echo Park, crew, right?
Yeah.
So hanging out with them and being friends with them, it was just, as years went by, we just grew, you grow closer, you become friends, and you build that friendship with them. And it was just a thing to do. I've never, how can I say, like, I didn't say I wanted to be from the gang because I wanted to feel wanted. It was just something that was natural. Even though I wasn't, I didn't know like the gang activity at that time, like it wasn't that familiar. I knew things were going on up the street because I knew that was a drug spot, right? I would hear people talk about it, the kids that I'd hang around with. Don't go up there because, they get high or they got guns or they're drug dealers or whatever. But as we just started growing and getting closer as friends, I think that's how we all just clicked to be from the neighborhood. And it just felt natural, like something normal to do.
And let me ask you, as you just said that you were warned, like, hey, don't go over here. They're doing drugs. They're selling drugs. They have straps. They have guns. Why did you?
I don't know. It felt like that's what. It just felt comfortable and something that I just wanted to be a part of.
To be a part of.
Yeah, like everybody, and I knew them. And it wasn't that the guys that were the drug dealers or that had the guns that they were scary, like the older homeboys.
Yeah.
It wasn't scary because they never made me feel that way. It was always a welcoming feeling, and I think we all can say that, like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a welcoming feeling what they gave you, and they didn't
make you feel wanted. They make you feel like which, if we're honest, the truth, when you're a part of a barrio, that is your family. They become your family, and I know firsthand.
Yeah, I think during my era, so like the late '80s, was the best. I always say we're the last of the Mohicans, right? Yeah. Because I think in the late '80s, I was brought up in my neighborhood, respecting my neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. The culture, no gang graffiti on the wall, none of that stuff, right? We didn't do that. We didn't disrespect our neighborhood, and those were other things that caught my attention. Like, oh, these scary guys that I thought that were scary are not scary, right? They're cool people, and they're cool very people. So I think showing us that nature and the way that they really were as a human being was also a reason that was like what made me feel safe. I was like, all right, I can do this. I can hang around with them. I'm not scared.
Now, at 13 years old, you got into your barrio, and because you said you you felt like the thing to do.
Yeah.
You got into your neighborhood. How old were you when you committed your first crime? And what was that crime?
Yeah, right? Probably like 6 months after that.
Really?
Yeah, 6 months. We would rob. We would wait. Wow. We would wait at the down Sunset in Echo Park. There's a whole bunch of bars down there.
Yeah.
And we wait for the little Mexican guys that were all tore up, drunk, come out of the bar because they were the only ones that had the gold chains, right?
Yeah.
So we would sit there and just wait for them. And I didn't look 13 at that time. The makeup and
Now I know not to go to Echo Park here with my chains.
So that was the first thing we did. We were like, and because the girls wanted to get high. Not me, because I didn't get high till like I was about 15 or 16 years old, right?
Yeah.
So we would wait for them to come out the bar and just, flirt with them. And while one's flirting with them, they're pickpocketing and then, playing with the chains if they had a chain and then just yanking it off and we're running. And that was the thing to do.
Did you ever get busted as a youngster, as a juvenile?
No, I've never gotten taken as a juvenile at all. And even one time we were pulled over and me and an ex-boyfriend of mine and I had a bottle of PCP.
Yeah.
I was so young, but the cops didn't take me in because he took the rap for the bottle.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was in Montebello too. It wasn't even in my neighborhood, but the police were like, "Well, we'll let you go, but we'll call your mom and see if they're willing to pick you up." That was like the first time I think when I got in trouble, and I was like, "Don't call my mom." I wasn't so scared of my mom. I was more scared of my older brother because he's the one that chewed me out. And
So you said PCP. Was that your drug of choice?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why PCP? Out of everything during that time, you got pills, you got PCP, you got heroin, you have, I mean pretty much every kind of drug.
Yeah.
Why PCP?
Everybody was doing it. Everybody around was doing it. I used to take care of my homegirls when they would get high.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't really get into it because I didn't like the way it left them, or I would see them all fucked up and high, and I didn't like the reaction they had, right? But they wanted to get high. So since I wasn't the druggie at the time and I didn't get high, they were like, "Can you just take care of us? Don't let anything happen." All right. So I would.
Until you started getting
high. Yeah, until I started getting high. Then I was like, "Sorry, you guys are all on your own." Shit.
Everybody's defending for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what?
But I wouldn't party with everybody. I would, and if I would, it was just the girls, and I'd make sure it was just us, and that was it. But I would go home. So during the time when I was getting high, my brother, he started also dealing and selling PCP, but then he got busted and he had stuff left at home. And since I hung out with him, I knew everybody that would come buy from him.
Yeah.
So I sold what he had, and then it just became, "Hey, Vero, you got more?" Yeah. "Do you got more?" You got. So then I started buying, little bottles here and there. And that's how I just started, was little bottles. And then when I started smoking, it's like, how am I going to control this? So I would buy a bottle to sell and a bottle to smoke.
For yourself,
and I would go home after I was done, hanging out with the homeboys, selling, whatever. I would go home, and across the street from where I used to live was an empty parking lot with stairs. And I would just go home, change, dip one, have a beer.
Smoking those lovely.
Yeah.
I remember that was one of my favorite things that I used to, roll up that joint, dip it in PCP, which back in the day they called lovely. I don't even know if they do that anymore or they call it that. But but that was one of my drugs of choice way back when.
Yeah. So that's how I would keep myself safe, because I wouldn't do it around nobody. It would be, if it wasn't just us girls partying, it would be when I go home. And I just go home, lay in my bed after I smoked, and just enjoy the high.
Wow. Have you ever been incarcerated as an adult?
No, never.
That's amazing. That's amazing. There's a first on Barrio Driven.
Yeah.
You know what?
And I've been caught through so much shit, but everything that happened, it wasn't, back in my time, it wasn't so much focus on the girls.
Yeah, of course,
It was just the guys, and that's what they were doing, just to clean up the area, sweep it up, let's get them off the street. It was the guys that was the problem. So it was never, I was always the driver for whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was like, take Vero, she knows how to drive, take Vero,
She knows how to drive.
And it was, but it was always the guys that either took the rap or that's who the police were after. So they would see me and they would just be like, let her go.
Let her go.
Let her go. Get out of here. They wouldn't even call my mom. They wouldn't even take me to the station. Nothing.
Was your carnals from your barrio?
Yeah.
They were?
Yes.
Are they still out there, or are they in?
They're still out there. My brother lives right in the heart of my neighborhood. He owns a home, him and his wife. They own a home. And my older brother, he lives down the street from my older brother. So us three are still there. My sister, she lives in Apple Valley.
Apple Valley?
Yeah. She's the only one that took off. that left and took off.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I gotta say, for us being from a neighborhood, I don't know, I picture, how can I say it? I see different neighborhoods, and I know a lot of people from different neighborhoods, and everybody lived a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like every neighborhood you go to, even when I go to Whittier in East LA, I can feel the difference from how we are on the west side in LA, right? And people from East LA have more of that old school vibe. Yeah. They still have that, majority of them, I'll say, still have that old school mentality. But you can just tell the difference from people when you meet them that they're not from the area, right? Yeah. And like I said, growing up in my era, it was one of the best ones because I think we were structured. We were taught the structure, taught the respect, and that was given by the older homeboys. Yeah. You know, now it's a lot different.
It's a lot. Yeah, things have changed so much. It's ridiculous, you know. But yeah, exactly what you say. I say that as well. I really feel that we're the last of a dying breed, you know, that had that respect, that show respect to, you know, your older people. That, you know, things have changed so much, you know. Yeah. And the ball has been dropped like majorly, but honestly, I kind of look at us like that's our fault. Because since we're the last of a dying breed, we should have kept that on to the next generation, and somewhere we fumbled that ball. Yeah. But anyway, going back to, tell me your most painful memory as a homegirl from your barrio.
Well, seeing one of my homeboys that he lived a trouble, they called him Trouble. Yeah. And he lived a really hard life. They were the little homeless kids that would hang out with the winos. You know, their parents were we used to call them the winos. And he was always in and out of jail, juvenile camps, you know, placements. And he finally, I think he was 18 years old, finally came out of YA, doing really good, met a girl. And him and I used to be childhood sweethearts. And he met a girl and he started working. First job was at Macy's, never had a job in his life. And he got his first paycheck, and he wanted to take his girlfriend and sister out to celebrate, right? Yeah. So we used to have a local restaurant called Barrio's, and it was a little Mexican restaurant in Echo Park, and he took them out, and we heard shooting. Me and my husband were down the street, and we heard shooting, and we're like, what the hell's going on, you know? Something. So we see people running like up the street, like, oh man, something serious happened, let's go. So we leave the store, we go, and they had shot him with like an AK right through his neck. So like his head was just
barely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you saw that.
Yeah.
What went through your mind when you're seeing Trouble, your childhood friend? You're seeing him. His life had just been taken from him, and you're seeing him die right in front of you. I mean, that's an image that you're gonna carry for the rest of your life. Was there anything going through your head like, did I make a right choice getting into the barrio? Did I do the right thing, you know, being a homegirl from the barrio? Because let's make no mistake, you know, and we don't mean no disrespect to any barrio, any neighborhood. It's not to show that we're trying to do that. We don't mean that. But because of choices of getting the neighborhood, that young man's life was taken from him. Yeah. And you got to witness it.
I think it was more hurtful. It was hurtful because, yeah, it was him gone. But I think what was freaking me out was the reaction of the girlfriend and the brother.
How did they react?
I mean, he was hysterical. Like, just lost his mind, you know, and trying to control his emotions at a time where he just witnessed this happen. You know, like it was hard because we're trying to calm him down to get the girlfriend to calm down because she's pregnant.
Oh wow, yeah.
And it's like just seeing that reaction was, I think, was one of my hardest. I mean, even though in between that time we had homeboys already that passed away. Yeah. We had heard, you know, hey, somebody just got shot, or you know, or this one died, and I think that was one of the hurtful moments that I can say that.
How old were you?
Was I married already? I think I was probably about 17. Really? I was like 17 years old.
And you were married already?
I was already gonna, well, we were engaged, yeah. Okay, I didn't get married to the following year, but yeah.
Oh, you got married young?
I got married very young, yeah.
Oh. And you got married, was he a homeboy from your barrio?
Yeah, my older homeboy Casper. My husband's 8 years older than me.
8 years older than you?
Yeah, wow. 8 years older than me.
How's that marriage been?
It was a roller coaster. So my husband was busted for 8 years. He's a YA baby. and he went away for 8 years for murder.
For murder.
Yeah. And when I used to hang out with his nephews and nieces, because they were my age, in elementary, and I would always hear about, Uncle Casper, Uncle Mike, Uncle this, right, from the nephews and nieces, and but it was a roller coaster because when he came out, during the time when he came out, we were filming the movie. The movie. So it was like, okay, I knew who he was, but at the time I was seeing somebody else. We weren't, but we knew, we knew each other. We'd party, hang out. Where he lived was a hangout spot. Yeah. It was the dead end. It was, those were like I would say those are the hardest years and the worst years. Yeah. Because we had so much shit happen on that street.
Let me ask you, did anyone from your family or did anybody, sorry, hopefully I didn't mess up the point. Anyone from your family say, hey, mijita, you're married to an individual that is going away for murder. It's not like he's not going away for, robbing somebody or knocking somebody out and stuff. He's going away for murder. And, no one ever told you in your family, like, hey, do you still want to stay with this individual? Did they discourage that relationship at all? Or did they, were they fully supportive? Like, hey, yeah.
Yeah. No, because he had already did his time. Oh, so it's when he came out. Oh. Yeah, he was...
Got it. Okay, all right.
He came out when he was 24. So the movie was still filming, 16 at the time, but we didn't start getting serious till like 2 years later after he had, Yeah.
And so being a part of, for those of you that know or may not know, there is an iconic film called Mi Vida Loca. I encourage you very, very much to check it out if you have not seen it. And it's about barrio lifestyle. It's mostly focused on the homegirl, and that's why we're having this episode here today. And Stranger was in that film. And in the film, what did they call you in the film?
Stranger. Original homegirl. Yeah, that's why when I introduce myself, I always say I'm stranger, original homegirl, and people. And it's funny because during the filming, so I had a main role in the filming, but because I was always high, I couldn't focus, and I felt so bad. And my mom was like, my mom felt bad because she's the one that introduced to the lady, right? And my mom would tell me, you better, talk to the lady and tell them. And so one day I just swallowed my pride, and I was like, I had walked in there and just said, you know what, just keep me as an extra. And
as an extra.
I can't promise you that I'm gonna be sober.
Yeah.
It was, and we would party because it was filmed in Echo Park. On our break times, we would take off and go party and then come back.
And imagine that, having a huge role in a big film, and not being able to do that because you're high. So think about the choices that we have made in life. You know what I'm saying? If you think about that, it's like you're not being able to do what you would be able to, but because you're high.
Yeah, and I think about it like, man, if I would have did the role, like where would it have taken me? Yeah. What would have I been then? But I think with the
so that's a regret you have.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any other regrets in life?
I don't regret anything else. I don't regret being from the neighborhood. I don't regret the shit that I did, in the neighborhood. Even
what did you do for your neighborhood?
I was always the driver.
Always the driver.
Even with my husband. So when me and my husband got together, he was fresh, active, wanted to go do stuff, and it was, come on, just get in the car. I'm like, where are we going? Just get in the car. Okay, get in the car.
So you've seen a lot.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. Where he lived, it was mostly in my neighborhood where it happened. Yeah. No matter, so Echo Park's so big, but in every, you go down by the lake, I had homeboys there that lived. They had parties, they were partying on the weekends, right? You come up Echo Park Avenue, once you're coming up Echo Park Avenue, just about every corner, there was somebody that lived there, and it was a hangout spot. Yeah. So you would hear shootings from one street and, down the street, and we'd be getting the phone call on, and then back then there was no cell phone, right? It was a landline. So if you're thankful that my husband lived where he lived, so everybody would always call, and they got the word like, hey, be careful, somebody's coming up. But there was times where I think the shadiest shit out of all this, being from the neighborhood, was I was coming with my friend from the market, and I would wait at her house because my son was in Head Start, right?
Yeah.
And this is mine. I already have a 4-year-old, and I would go hang out at her house, but because it was the dead end where everybody hung out, they knew that there was always going to be somebody there. And I think this was the eye opener for me at an adult age already.
Yeah.
But this car came up, and I'm in the car. Car came up this way. We're coming from the market. I get out the car and loading groceries, and I notice the guys, but I'm like, they're not saying nothing.
Yeah.
You know, what do you want? So I come around the car. My friend's opening her door at her house, and I'm grabbing groceries out, and all I hear is, "Where are you from?" I didn't know that my cousin was standing. I guess my cousin had walked down the hill, and I didn't know he was there. "Where are you from?" And they said, "They're Barrio." And as I'm getting my head out the car with the groceries, all you hear is the shooting. Yeah. And I see my cousin jump over the steps. And we had kids. Yeah. Yeah. And that was the anger. I had so much anger, like hate. I jumped in the car because they end up backing up, and I jumped in the car. And this is just a motherly instinct, or I don't know, the reaction, right? I jump in my car, and I'm like, I don't have no gun, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna go chase these guys down. I'm like, motherfucker, if I have to run my car into you to crash or whatever, right? And it wasn't even my car at the time, but that was my reaction. Like, you fucked with my kids there. Don't, I don't, you know, and this was an older gang neighborhood that did the shit, right? So I'm like, where's your sense at? Where's your morals? And it was, I just jumped in the car, ran, took off, chased them, and I mean, I lost them. They lost me, and
so you're chasing them. They're armed, and you have your car.
Just the car.
But because you were so angry that you really didn't care.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've been there as a parent.
Yeah.
You know, when that instinct, as I've always said, that the most dangerous individual in the world is a mother or father.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing we wouldn't do to protect our kids. You know. How do you sleep at night, Beto? Honestly, how do you sleep at night knowing that you've done a lot of bad in your life? You have. Let's be real. You've done a lot of bad in your life. You've, you know, you've hurt people in your life. Let's be real. How do you sleep at night? Are you able to sleep like, all right, cool, feed me, it's time to crash out, boom, caiga, we're gonna go to sleep? Or does your mind tend to wonder and say, man, God, you know? I
think of things like stuff that happens to me. You know, I'm sick. I'm open about my diabetes, and I think of my health and things that's just been happening to me throughout the years. And I always think, shit, is that my karma? Is that my, you know? Because I know one day it's gonna happen. I don't just, you know. And my husband says the same thing. I know one day it's gonna happen to me. But I remember being young, since we were living with my grandparents, it was always, I remember my grandma used to always say, to ask for forgiveness. Yeah. Even when people were in the hospital, like friends that passed away, or even family members, right? Yeah. I remember always hearing people say, ask for forgiveness. If they're not coherent, then do it for them, you know, ask for so that always stood in my head. As long as you ask for forgiveness and you prayed, it was so, and that's something that I've always done, and to this day I do. Like, I'm not a church person, I don't go to church, but I do believe in higher power. Yeah. And I always start off my prayers, God, please forgive me. Forgive me for my sins. I'm not perfect.
And you know what, exactly, and you know, me as someone, I don't know how much you know about me, but I go to church, and you know, God, I can assure you that definitely God will forgive you, and He does hear your prayers. And what we're going to be doing now, we're going to be going to Veto's Barrio. We're going to walk the streets. I want to know exactly where this happened, where that happened. I want to know her fondest memory, her most painful, exactly. I want to go back to where Trouble was murdered, his life was taken away. And I want to go visit her childhood home. Continue watching. This is Barrio Driven. So we're actually for a difference. I'm in the driver's seat for a change. As you can see, this is basically Eco Parque. This is your barrio right here.
This is home.
You know, home. This is your home. We see all the graffiti all over the walls.
The taggers, the gentrification happening.
Sheesh, yeah, all over the place, huh?
Yeah.
What memories you have here, Vero? Good and bad. What's the first thing that, as we're driving through your barrio, through your neighborhood, what's popping in your mind?
This area in particular, this is where we used to. This little spot, for some reason, I don't know, was an area where the drug dealing was going with when rock cocaine was out. And there's some stairs that lead up somewhere. They're right there. They're gated now, though.
You just tell us where you want us to go? You want us to make a right, a left,
just
straight?
Go straight.
Straight?
So my memories is walking up and down this street, talking to the little paisita guys that were selling the dope.
Yeah, we know that name, Vince Scully. Right
yeah,
here.
Vince Scully.
Where does this take us to?
Dodger Stadium.
Exactly, Dodger Stadium, right over there. Go Dodgers.
Yeah. So this was my playground, all starting from down there where we were at, all the way sunsets we're coming into. We were always walking up and down these streets. Earlier, like I said, we had people that lived everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I had homeboys that lived this street, homeboys that lived up on this street. There was always somewhere to go. It was never a dull moment when we were teenagers walking up and down these streets.
Who was your closest homeboy? And homegirl?
My homegirl, little one. I still keep in touch with her. We go out from time to time. Homeboys, I don't know. I can't say I hung around with all of them because I was just like one of the guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, hanging out with my brother, they were all pretty close to me. You make a left up here at
the light right here?
Yeah, La Vida. This is a famous Patas Burgers where we used to come hang out, eat our burgers. Shoot, back then it was like $3 burgers.
$3 burgers. Wow, I wish they had those prices now. You know?
I know, right? Got some graffiti and all. Yeah, $3. Hamburger, fries, and a Coke. But this was the hangout too, right here.
Right here, we got your barrio all tagged up on the wall right here.
Yeah, this is where the wall where Trouble died.
This is where Trouble died, right here. Can we?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get off at Parque right here. So right now, we just stopped. We're on the corner of La Veta and actually Laguna and La Veta, right?
Yeah.
Laguna and La Veta.
Yeah.
And what happened here?
This is where Trouble passed away.
Right here?
Yeah. So you go down in front of Sunset. There was that restaurant called Barragon's.
Yeah.
It's no longer here no more, but he was celebrating first job, first paycheck. Yeah. Took his brother out, his girlfriend out, and coming back to the car
and they got him.
This is where they got him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you got to witness the last moments of his life.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. He was. That was a hard moment. Hard moment because I was already, you know, with my husband. We were dating, but you know, he was a childhood friend. Other than him being my, you know, sweetheart, my childhood sweetheart. That was, you know, homeboy. Like all those mixed feelings came, you know. Like,
And you had mentioned earlier, you know, that, you know, that there aren't as many homeboys as there once was.
No.
But you know what? It's everywhere I'm looking. I see Echo Parque tagged up right there. I see Echo Parque blasted on. They can't see it though. If they'll turn around, Echo Parque. And we see Tricks, which is the youngster's name.
Yeah.
Your barrio is very well alive and active.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just dissipated and it's gone, because we would see none of this, you know. So we see, you know.
This was back in the days. This was the party spot here. This is one of the parties. We'd be like this, just out. The way I was just sitting on the wall, hanging out in the corner. I had a homeboy that lived across the street right here. It was a party house. The street, we just take it over, and they were deep. No matter where you went, when I was growing up, there was 20, 40 people in the street partying here. You go up the avenue, there's another 10, 15. No matter where you walked in this, that's why when we were driving, even from down there, we were everywhere, walking up and down, up and down, up and down the avenue, and just hanging out. Everywhere you went was a party scene.
Let me ask you, knowing that, I mean, your barrio was alive and active even before you were around, but knowing that you helped contribute to making your barrio just that much stronger, do you ever think about, like, man, you know what, maybe if it wasn't for, as we mentioned earlier a few times, you know, actions that you may have did, maybe your barrio still wouldn't be as strong. You know what I mean by that is, I'm trying to say is that we have all helped. If you're a gang member you have helped contributed to making your barrio grow.
What it is.
It goes to generation to generation. You know what I'm saying? And you have.
Yeah.
And does that ever think about like, man, this youngster over here, maybe if I would have made the choices that I did, you know, maybe he wouldn't be from that barrio. Maybe he wouldn't be, if there was a youngster that came up to you and said, hey, sabes que, homegirl, you know what? I heard about you and I heard things that you did for the barrio, and you know what? Mi barrio es primera, and you know what? I'm gonna go out there and put in work and kill our enemies. What would you tell them?
No. Now at this day, I would say no.
No.
It's not worth it. It's hard to say that because as much as you want to say, fuck yeah, okay, we're gonna, you know, you're gonna recruit new ones, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard to say that because what happens now compared to what happened then is so different. Sentencing, right? When you get busted, it wasn't as it was harsh, but not as harsh.
Not as harsh as it is now, yeah.
Shit, now it's like throw away the book, bye, you're gone. That's it. No ifs, ands, or but. You had an opportunity. You had youth authority.
Yeah.
It's not there no more. That's it. What do you have? Those policies that were implemented back when we were young. It's not implemented now. Now it's a whole different ball game. For somebody to say they want to be from the neighborhood. Me and my husband have said it. Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
You want to give back. You want to be from the hood. Okay, cool. You know, but I'd rather you go to school, be somebody, do something for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
for those that don't know, is the laws in California have changed it was like night and day.
Yeah.
From time that they were giving in the 80s and the 90s, it was like someone gets sentenced, gets convicted of murder, they may be back in, 8-10 years, maybe even 15 years, whatever. Now, I mean, man, you can do an armed robbery, you can get life. You're doing, you can get life really easy, quickly nowadays. Am I right? You hear this? I mean, you do a murder, man, you're gone. You're gone.
And it's not so much maybe the other people snitching, ratting you out. Today's society is you have, I don't even have it on me, but it's in the car. You have a phone.
Yeah.
Everybody's quick with the camera.
Oh yeah.
You got cameras up on the wires. You got cameras on people's apartments. So getting away with stuff back then was a lot easier because, let me remind you, this is Echo Park and it was all low income, right? So they couldn't afford. They all rented. They didn't own these houses. They didn't own their apartments. Yeah. They didn't own what they had. They rented. Yeah. So why were they going to put up cameras? For what? They didn't have much to protect or steal. But it wasn't not just, because they didn't feel, how could I say it? They felt safe. They felt safe because they knew that they had the homeboys here. Yeah. My homeboys, we've never, ever robbed anybody. I don't remember robbing people's houses here. Maybe at the bar, the stupid shit that I did, but, but not people's houses. Yeah. Not the cars, not stuff like that. Everybody felt safe and they can trust. Yeah. And that's how we were known. We weren't known to disrespect and stuff like that. But you look across the street, see all those cameras right there? Yeah. You can't get away with something for somebody to say they want to be from the neighborhood now and then try to do something. You got eye in the sky everywhere. Oh yeah. And you ain't gonna get away with it. So is it worth it? It's not. It's honestly not. And I can say that now after everything that I've been through, everything that went on in the neighborhood, everything that I witnessed. And I don't think it's worth it.
Where are you going to be taking us to now?
I'm going to take you up Echo Park Avenue, where my stomping grounds, where the elementary school I went to, where we hang out, where some of them still hang out up there, and that's where the shooting happened, where my nephew got shot and my little homeboy passed away. Yesterday was his anniversary, so everybody went, put candles in the alley, flowers, and so, yeah, I'm going to take you up there.
Let's go, Vero.
Let's go.
Let's go. Right now, Vero, she is taking us to
I'm taking you up the avenue, what we call it.
Up the avenue.
Up the avenue.
All right, we're going left or right?
Left here.
Man, I'm sure you have a ton of memories. Yeah. Vero, you had said your barrio isn't as active as it once was, but your barrio is blasted all over the place, Vero. I mean, I don't know how.
Go straight.
I mean, it's blasted up pretty significant right there. Who was your biggest?
Right here, sorry.
Who was the neighborhood that you guys fought the most with?
Back then, it was Diamond Street.
Diamond Street.
Yeah. Diamond Street. Diamond Street and Frogtown were the two.
Frogtown?
Mm-hmm. And Frogtown's literally over the other hill from here where we're at, going up, and Diamond Street, where we were at the Patras, Diamond Street's on that side of the hill.
You know what's crazy is, you know, as I've gotten older and, you know, as you know what I do for a living, I produce and do different, you know, acting, do different things. I have good camaradas from Diamond Street. I have good camaradas from Parque. I got good camaradas from Frogtown. And it's like, what a trip, you know. It's like, here I am, and I associate with all these barrios.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed because they welcome me in, you know.
Yeah.
They say, orale, he's coming here, you know, he's doing his documentary, he's talking, you know what I'm saying? And
this was, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this was a famous hangout. You gotta stay to your left.
Right here?
Yeah. This was, it was called Lerner's Gas Station.
Lerner's Gas Station.
See that curb right there? There was a phone booth right there before, but that's where we used to hang out.
Right here,
Right here. And I lived up that way when I was young.
Up over there?
Yeah. But this is like these memories are just walking up and down these streets, and
they just come in, huh? Everybody, when they're with us, they're always like, man, the memories just begin to flood back. The memories begin to come back, you know?
After we moved out of my grandfather's house up there, my mom got a 1-bedroom in the alley right here. It was a 1 little bedroom shack house, and that's where we lived.
Isn't it a trip how, you know, as you see now, exactly as you said, a lot of things change. You see gabachos walking around through here. You see chinitos. You see different. And we didn't see that back in the days. Remember how?
No, it was all Mexican.
I know.
Mexican.
I know.
So this is the alley I used to live in right here growing up.
Right here?
Yeah. Go to the back. The first place we moved to.
And I'm sure you have good memories here too.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a hill. I don't know if you can see it right here. Yeah, that hill.
Yeah.
We used to play on that hill, sliding down. There's a lot of good memories here.
Wow.
As we got older, you would hear when the guys would be getting chased by the cops. This was the getaway alley.
The getaway alley. Right there.
Getaway alley. Yeah. A lot's changed though. Like you look at the gentrification. You got these, you know, ugly condos.
Yeah.
That are built here. Just those stairs were also memory stairs up there.
Oh,
we used to get high up there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And this is my little homeboy just passed away a couple months ago.
Right here?
Yeah.
Barrio Park, rest in peace, Barrio. Oh man, you could see that right there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a shame. How old was he, do you know?
31, I think.
Oh, he's young,
He was in his 30s, young.
Yeah, that's young, you know. That's young, you know.
This corner right here, this is Echo Food Store. This is Dwayne. So this is where my husband lived. This was the party scene right here, the dead end, yeah.
Should we go down here?
We can go up.
This is, and as you said about Barrio, rest in peace for his family. If he watches this, our condolences. I mean, we see listo, I know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it makes you think, like, is it really worth someone's life?
Yeah.
To do the, you know.
This street was sold up. Like, you had, my husband lived right here.
Right here.
In this house. His brother, this tree was a little puny little Christmas tree. Like those little ones in the pots.
Yeah.
And they used to call it Insane Dwayne.
Insane Dwayne.
Insane Dwayne, because it's Dwayne Street.
Yeah.
But this is this tree was so small, and man, it just grew.
I bet you to even be in this tree, you had to have been.
I just got chills right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to have been from your barrio.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
My husband used to do tattoos out of that little garage when he first got out.
Really?
No money. They would pay him in beer.
Okay, no? Oh, yeah, those are the good ones right there.
Yeah. This is the house where I told you the shooting happened. This house with the light on.
Right here?
Yeah.
So Vero just told us to stop. She said this is where her little cousin, right?
My cousin. His older cousin.
Oh, older cousin.
Yeah.
Her primo got shot right here. And not only shot, but also one of your homeboys was killed here. Was that correct?
He not on this street, but down the street.
Down the street?
Yeah, right.
Was that the same shooting?
No.
Oh, it was a different one?
Different shootings, yeah.
Now, what exactly happened here the day that your primo got shot?
We were coming back. I was with one of my friends. We were coming back from the market. Kids, the elementary school and the Head Start just up the street. We were waiting for the kids to come out of school, and we're getting out the car. My friend's taking in her groceries. I'm coming around the car to get the rest of the groceries out. And as I'm in the car, you know, trying to get groceries out, you get a sense, right? And I looked up, and there's a car on the side of me, and I hear him say, "Where you from?" But not. I'm thinking they're talking to me, but not realizing that my cousin was there, right? And all you seen was his hand come up and start shooting, and I'm, ducking to get down.
Yeah.
My cousin jumped over the rail right here, the brick wall, and we didn't know he was shot. And they took off, reversed back really quick, and went up the street. And I just remember jumping in the car and chasing them.
Wow.
It was just an instinct. I don't know. It's that. And I'm, no gun, no nothing. It's just a car. But I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna ram the car into them or something, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I heard him yelling, but I didn't know where he got hit, where he got shot. Thank God it was just his leg, but it could have been worse. Definitely. But that was a daily thing we went through, a daily. And my reactions, like, I got my mother-in-law up the street. I got an elementary school right here in a Head Start where my son was at. Like, there's kids, and you're coming daylight. It was like probably 10, 11 o'clock in the morning.
In the morning.
It was early, but this is one of the moments.
The moments that you had,
And being that this was the party street, everybody would hang out right here. The corner liquor store right here.
Yeah.
Homeboys would get off of work, they'd hang out right there, drink. So we were always exposed and out in the open. And surprisingly, as much as they would come up and shoot, I mean, we've lost a lot of homeboys, and we had homeboys that got injured, but for as exposed as we were, thank God a lot of people didn't really die, right?
And you know what? One thing that we talk about on our show is because we come out to the barrios, believe it, I mean, I take a risk. And she'll tell you that, because if, like, let's say another barrio came, they're gonna think that I'm from Echo Parque.
Yeah.
They're not gonna sit and say, oh, there's Vince Romo. Nah, they're gonna see me, and I'm in their barrio. So enemy comes up, the chances of them shooting are really damn high, so God willing, and they ain't gonna shoot, they're gonna shoot me.
Hey, so in '93, right, when we were filming the movie Mi Vida Loca, that was a concern for us when we were filming. Yeah. And we let them know, like, shit's gonna happen, shit could happen, right? Be careful. Yeah. So a lot of the filming was done in the daytime. Sometimes at night scenes we have, but majority of the night scenes I think were filmed at Lacey Studios, because the safety. So that was, and it wasn't just safety for us. To us, it was a norm, right? But for you had these filmmakers that it wasn't normal to them, and they didn't experience it. The director, because she lived in Echo Park, she was aware. She knew. Yeah. She would hear the shots, just like everybody else will. But it was. We had incidents where they were shooting on the set as we're filming.
Wow, that's crazy.
We'd hear it up the street, and everybody's like, "Should we wrap up?" We're like, "Wrap up!" Everybody, move to the side, get off the street, and stuff like that that would go on. So it was in the '90s was the craziest years that I've experienced, and I had. Early 2000s, I mean, it was on and cracking on the street. There was never a dull moment where you didn't see somebody walking up and down. Yeah. There was never a dull moment where you didn't see a homeboy hanging out right there in the corner drinking.
Wow.
It was, So to see it as peaceful and as quiet as it is right now,
it's changed. Changed a lot. Where are we going to now?
I'm going to take you up the avenue. I'll show you guys my elementary school where the hangout was and where we hang out. And I'm going to also take you to the alley where my little homeboy passed away a couple years back. And yesterday was his anniversary, so they went and left flowers for him and put candles. Hopefully they didn't clean it up and throw it away. But
And we saw about Bago, your homeboy, rest in peace. He was murdered.
Yeah. So where we passed, I showed you those condominiums, a car pulled up right there, and he was riding, he has one of those electrical bikes, and had his earphones on and was riding his bike.
Not paying attention,
and the car, he was coming back up on his bike, and the car had already, I guess, we're assuming saw him, spotted him, because they shot from the corner, and where I showed you is where he ended up passing out, laying out at.
That's one of the things is that, as you guys see me, I'm constantly looking. You have to be aware of your surroundings. If you're out here raised in LA, you have to know exactly where your surroundings are, because you like that,
in a heartbeat,
your life can be gone.
And like I said, it's not as active. You don't see a lot of people, right? But it happens. It can just happen at any moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's go, Vero.
All right, let's go. was with them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I got beaten up by them. I've gotten, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I got very into my neighborhood with
the Herdz, which would, you know, for those that ain't from LA, that's what we call them, the cops, the Herdz, and the placas. They just rolled up on us, and they asked me where I was from, they asked me what I was doing, and they asked me if I had been with anybody from Barrio Echo Park. And of course, I'm gonna say no. Yeah, I'm not gonna throw, you know, we don't do that. I'm not gonna be all like, oh yeah, Vero, yeah, she's from Echo Park. Hey, Vero, get off, come on, talk to them. You don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't do that. That's just something that, you know, and you know, so if they were gonna harass somebody, I wanted it to be me. I didn't want them to harass my camera crew. I didn't want them to harass Vero, not. I'd rather let it be me, you know? And that's what we do. We take care of our gente, we take care of our people, you know? And so they just asked me some questions, and after a little bit, that's it. They went on their way, you know?
Yeah, they didn't, you can park in front of this car. This last
one right here?
Yeah. Okay. They didn't pull you over for, yeah, I mean, they didn't pull us over, but
we were already
it was because they saw me. So, Northeast Police, which is the police station for here. Yeah. They don't. I have a really love-hate relationship with them, but they were the ones that started and implemented the gang injunction, and because I went through a lot when I became part of my neighborhood council and was fighting back. Yeah. And I went through a lot of police brutality, harassment. They would harass me day and night at my house, come to my house. I would, one day my husband and one of my homeboys were sitting in front of the apartment where I live, and they were drinking, and I get a phone call from my husband. He tells me, hey, the cops are just sitting out here. Not messing with them, not doing nothing with them. He goes, they're just sitting out here. I was so pissed. I came out with a bat and I started banging the wall and like, get the fuck out of here, motherfuckers. Because I was just done. I was tired with it. But they were doing that, and they did that a lot to me to push my buttons. Yeah. But they thought that I was going to shut up and not say nothing. Yeah. And I would go out there and get the fuck out of here, banging their car. You need to leave now. I pick up the phone, call their sergeant right away. I need a sergeant down here now. That was our routine. They would mess with us, harass us. And the kids already knew too. Request for a sergeant. Don't speak to nobody. Request for a sergeant. Have the sergeant come down. Yeah. I would get calls like that all the time, and I would always come to either help the kids get out of whatever the cops were trying to do with them. Yeah. And they would get mad. I would just snap my fingers, tell the kids, "Come on, let's go. Get your hands, put your hands down," because they would have their hands behind their back, and they was like, they were minors, like they ain't doing shit wrong. They were riding their skateboard here, or riding their bike, or just standing talking. It's like, and the cops come and see them congregating, and they think, oh, it's like, there goes the gang members, right? Yeah. And they would get mad. So they, there was one officer in particular, in Bobby Hill, and I ain't afraid to throw his name out there, but he was the one that started all the bullshit with the police here. Started the gang injunction, starting the harassment. Yeah. So he formed a name for me, and I was telling Marta that they call me the godmother of Echo Park. That's what the police, so when they would see me, like, oh, here comes the godmother, and if I wasn't the godmother, I was the bitch. Oh, here comes the bitch. I'm like, yep, that's right, here comes the bitch, what the fuck you guys doing? And I would talk to them depending on the tone of voice they were giving me. Yeah. So you're being rude and disrespectful to me, well, guess what? I'm going to be rude and disrespectful back. To you. But in a proper way, I didn't ever, I would say like, fuck here or fuck there, but it was like, what are you guys doing? What's your reason for pulling them over? But in a loud tone of voice where they knew like, oh shit. All right, we fucked up. Yeah. Let the kids go. And they would get in the car and they leave. That's why when they saw, they reversed back, because they know who I am. They're not being nosy.
Why are we stopping here?
This is the hangout. This is Echo Park Avenue. This is where...
This is your school?
Yeah, this is my elementary school.
Right on.
This is where we all grew up.
So anyway, Vero just had us pull over. This is the school where you grew up. Yeah. Where you went to school.
This is where most of Echo Park came to school at.
Right here.
Right here.
Right here. What's the name of the school?
Elysian Heights.
Elysian Heights. And looking at it, it almost looks like it's got like a country feel. You see like the big trees. It looks like real calmate. It seems like really relaxed.
Yeah. And that was, you can barely see the picture, but our roommate cat. So back in the days, there was a cat that they adopted. Yeah. And he was, the teacher and roommate was the one that adopted him. And
the cat.
Yeah. Wow. So they would have him there, the roommate cat. But yeah.
What was the ages of this school? What grades?
From kindergarten to 6th grade.
6th grade.
Yeah.
Wow. So this was before they became like super bad.
Yeah. but we were already
somewhat bad.
Yeah, not bad like playing, how can I say it, mischievous little kid stuff, right?
Mischievous,
yeah.
But not too bad yet.
It wasn't until we went to junior high.
Yeah, and then junior high, then the evil began.
But yeah, this was also the hangout for the my kids. So like my nephews, my nieces, growing up, Fargo Street, this another dead end where they would hang out. We would hang out on the corner right here, or hang out at somebody's house up the street. And it was a party, you know.
Yeah, the party spot.
Yeah, to go.
Party spot.
This is where my nephew got shot right here in the street.
Right here?
Yeah.
Wow. The memories, huh?
Yeah, a lot of memories here. And we would walk up and down these streets, I mean, everywhere you went, there was always somebody in the corner, somebody hanging out. There was always somebody there.
Wow.
Never a dull moment. And then just up the street in the corner right here is where my little homeboy passed away. I was telling you. Yeah. Wow. So, you guys want to take a walk up there, or
should we?
We can walk.
How far is it?
It's just right in the corner.
The corner
this
right
corner
there?
Right here, yeah.
All right. Follow us. So, man, I'm sure, as you said, you know, we see we got Echo Park on the trash can.
We can cross the street. I got some homeboys right there.
Do you?
Yeah, come on. We don't got real grass, but we got fake grass.
Hey, it's better than no grass, Ken.
All right.
So right down the street is where your primo got shot.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not right down the street. This house is down.
In the house is down, just literally on the street. You're gonna be on camera. This is my homeboy Clown.
Hey, how you doing, Clown?
Doing a little documentary. So the Laguna where I took you on Laguna, that's where he lived.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Can you introduce us to
Yeah, come on. I'm gonna introduce you guys.
Right now we're gonna meet a couple of Vero's homeboys.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing us up here. Clown, que no?
Yeah, that's
Clown, mucho gusto, homie. Vince Romo, nice to meet you.
Man.
And Richard.
This is Theo Richard, right?
Yeah, my uncle, yeah.
Theo. My bad. Louis, Vince Romo, mucho gusto. First of all, gracias, familia. Gracias for allowing me to come into, you know, your element, your barrio. I appreciate it, you know.
Good,
I'm coming with respect. Homegirl Vero, she brought me here. I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. I'm an actor. I'm a film producer. And, you know, I was raised in the neighborhood as well. And so it's like I try to go back to, you know, my roots and talk to our people, talk to our gente, you know. Let me ask you, Carnal, how old were you when you first got into the barrio?
I was about 13 years old.
13. What made you get in?
Her?
He was my neighbor.
Okay, no?
They were my friends growing up, so we all, you know, all did it at the same time.
I was trying to explain to him how we're different from like other neighborhoods, right? Like we all grew up, I showed him the elementary.
Yeah, we grew up together.
It's all family.
Yeah.
Family generation.
Born and raised right here, like that brand, you know, born and raised.
Yeah. 13 years old. You ever been incarcerated, Carnal?
Just county time.
County time.
Yeah.
Out of all the choices that you've made in life, Carnal, you have any regrets?
Not that I can think of right now, you know, like I don't have no regrets.
Yeah. It is what it is, you know?
It is what it is. Hey, this is the way we were just brought up, and we survived it, and we're here. Ain't no regrets, you know? Like,
yeah, no, most definitely. And you know what, gracias for answering these questions, because you know what, I'm in your neighborhood, and so I want to thank you, you know, because
it's all good.
And sorry for catching you guys off guard.
No, thank you. Yeah, this is
work, so I'm
this is real here, gente. This isn't fake. We didn't come up and say, hey, you know, we're gonna come up here and, you know, yada yada yada. Her homeboys were up here drinking, and I asked, hey, can we go talk to them? And she was like, yeah, you know, let's go talk to them. And this is real life right here. This isn't fake. This isn't something that's, you know what, as we're talking to, you know, these are real veteranos from Echo Parque. These are real, you know, these are real gang members. They're not fake. They're not like, you know what, oh, let me tell you a little about that. You know, this is the life that we all chose to live at one point. You know,
this is what life chose for us.
Yeah.
No,
and you got a little mixture. So, Louis, where are you from, Louis? If you don't mind me asking. Tunerville. Right. And my uncle is from White Fence.
From White Fence. I just interviewed one of your homeboys, your homeboy Limpy, from White Fence. Had a great interview with him. I was really happy to. Cool. Yeah, I was real happy to be with him. So anyway, as we were saying.
Where are you from?
I'm from Pico Viejo. Yeah, born and raised in Pico Rivera, and you know, this is the lifestyle that we chose, carnal. You know, and so you know, it's someone I guess wants to come out.
No, not yet.
Oh no, not yet. Okay, and so let me.
Come on out, Mondo.
Hey, Mondo, mucho gusto.
So Mondo's the oldest. So
Mondo, mucho gusto. Hey, gracias. My name is Vince Romo.
What's up, Vince?
Hey. The pleasure is mine, carnal. Gracias, homie, for allowing me up on your porch, man. This is your canton. Let me move so you could, you know, take a seat.
All right.
I would just talking to.
Right here?
No, I'm good. So Mondo, he's from your barrio.
Yeah, older generation.
Hey, Mondo, how old were you when you got in? What year was that, carnal?
69.
69. You got in 69.
Actually, I got into Clanton.
Oh, wow.
There's some vatos living up here, and everybody was getting in Clanton back in the day.
Yeah.
So I actually walked in the Echo Park because I backed them up against 18th Street.
Oh, wow.
At King Junior High and shit.
Wow.
And all the homeboys already know, man. And my older brother, he's fucking Echo Park. My oldest, but he's passed on now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he goes way back. He goes back to 65, 64.
Let me, I'm gonna see here so that way we could get enough audio on you. So 65, 64, man. How have things changed, man, since you were, you know, first got into your audio?
I've been here 60 years. They moved here in 61.
Wow.
I'll be 60s.
Wow, man. You know, as I was talking to your homegirl, and she just was telling me about, you know, all the good memories that she has, but she also has told me about a lot of the heartache. A lot of the homeboys that you guys have lost throughout the years.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of, you know, as you know.
One good this one here.
Really, who was that?
Barrio.
Really? What happened to him?
He got shot down the street.
Wow.
He was partying up here with us first, and he got on his bike and took a little cruise because he was buzzing. And they caught him down there.
They caught him. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And that's a good homie.
You know, the life that we've chosen, we've seen that so many times. You know, I've lost homeboys, not only homeboys, homegirls too.
So what neighborhood are you from?
I'm from Pico Viejo.
Okay.
Born and raised in Pico Rivera. And, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm not, you know, actively out there, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, bring awareness about, you know, what really goes on in the barrio. You know, sometimes people don't really know. You know, they don't know what, you know, sometimes they think that we're just monsters or we're this and we're that. You know, we're people, we have coras, we have, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We love our people, we love our familias, you know?
We're normal people.
We're normal people. We just were, you know, raised in a certain environment and we ran with it, you know? We ran with it. And, you know, so that's why we were here today, because I wanted to know about your barrio, you know, and so I met homegirl and she said, yeah, come on down, and you know, gracias, Vero, gracias again.
You're convinced.
And if you had one regret in life, Kana, what would it be? And do you have any regrets?
Not really.
No?
No, losing my carnals, and I lost 3 brothers.
Oh man, you lost all 3, Kana?
Yeah, well, my oldest, he got in the neighborhood. He went to Vietnam, but he came back.
Yeah.
He died in the hood, you know, because he became a user in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So he was using out here in the Cayes. He died young at 46.
I'm sorry to hear that. Let me ask you guys this question. Even at your age now, do you guys fear that, you know, that something could happen even at your age now?
Oh, yeah.
They just shot up the other night right here.
They shot up the other
3 in the morning.
3 in the morning.
We don't know at who, why, and where, but...
The other night they just shot up.
You could take a picture of that mailbox down there after.
Wow.
There's a bullet hole all in that mailbox.
So even at your age, you know, it's like
Still gotta worry.
I interviewed one of my homeboys, and they shot him recently. They shot him 5 times, and what he said was, he said, you never know when payback's gonna come for you. He says, you know what, I did things in my life, and hey, it just happened to come when I'm a father, when I'm a husband, I already settled down, and it did. They almost killed him. You know, exactly as you guys are older now, you know, you never know what could happen. You know, it's like at any given moment, Hernandez, you know, that payback could come, you know. You guys have kids, you guys have all that. Let me ask you guys this question, this one last question. The life that you have all lived, you from Tunerville, you from Merco Parque, would you want that same life for your kids?
No, I wouldn't.
None of my boys are. They know them, and I'm glad the neighborhood knows them.
Yeah.
I don't want that for my kid, but if it happens,
it happens.
Like, hey,
it happens.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, his fucking uncles, his grandmas, his godfathers, his godmothers are all from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So what do you expect? He's been here since day one.
Yeah.
You know, I don't expect anything else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wish he wouldn't. I wish my boys wouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
But
No, I feel you.
My boys are doing good, all 3 of them.
If we chose this life, Karna, if you guys, since you guys, we all chose this life, why wouldn't you want it for your kids?
It's a crazy life.
I wouldn't want them to go through what I went through. I've been shot twice.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've never been to prison, but at least 15 times in the county.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't want that for them. You know, like.
Exactly.
I mean.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want that for them, you know.
Exactly.
And it was like sharing earlier, time policies and the policing was different back then from when we grew up.
Yeah.
So to want that for your kid now in this days and age, you wouldn't want it. It's not worth it on, and that's from a mother's point of view.
Yeah.
But also living experience what we experience, and we started from where was it, Tierra, all the way to Laguna. Like I was showing them everywhere how there was homeboys everywhere. There was no matter where you went, but all that time people were dodging bullets. People were. No matter where you walked up and down, even at their age, as they shared right now, look at what they're doing. He just got out of work drinking.
Yeah.
They're hanging out, having cold ones.
Yeah.
Anybody can drive up here any moment. And
exactly.
Yeah, I had a truck, and me and another homeboy were standing there, and a car came around the corner, and they turned their lights off. Like, hey, Turo, get down, dog. And boom, they started blasting us.
Yeah.
My truck got hit.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yeah. That's what I was saying, familia. You know what? As Mondo, got in way back in the 60s, here we are 2020, and his truck is getting shot at, he's getting shot at. That's why I say, once you make that choice to get into that barrio, whether you're 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or whether you're 20, it's for life, familia. It's for life. If there was one thing that you would be able to tell youngsters that were contemplating, hey, let me get in the barrio, let me go do this, let me go do that, what would you tell them, Colonel? He said get a profession.
Just get a holiday and stay on your holiday, man.
Yeah.
Make some money.
Do something with your vida,
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I want to thank you for welcoming me in your barrio, because I'm a visitor. And I appreciate you, familia. Gracias, homie, friend. And I want you to know I have the most respect for each and every one of you, for your homeboys, your homegirls, for your barrio. And gracias, man. Thank you for taking a few minutes. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time, And may God bless each one of you guys. May God keep you safe and your familia safe. And, and Christmas just passed, which was yesterday. Merry Christmas, and have a good New Year, familia. Stay safe out here, Stay safe. Gracias. Gracias, homie. Gracias. Gracias. Hey, gracias, homie. Gracias. Gracias.
Thank you, man.
No, gracias a ti, homie. A ti. Rich, gracias, man. Gracias. I was interviewing a prima right here, and she just, man, she's just been amazing. She brought us out to your barrio, and she just took us around. And what it is a show about barrio lifestyle. A lot of my show is very different though. If you see a lot of the podcasts, they sit with other homies, you know, and they sit in the house, you know, like, oh, well, tell me what happened, tell me what they do. I come out, you know what I'm saying? Like right now, your guy's enemy could come out and shoot, and you think they're gonna not shoot at me? They'll shoot at me real quick.
He already got pressed with the police.
Yeah? Oh, right now, of course. Yeah,
they got us on Dwayne.
Yeah, the Huda's already, you know what I'm saying?
Already jamming you up?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then I was out in another barrio, I got a strap pulled out on me. So it's like, you know, I'm taking a chance being out here, but you know what? I want to bring the realities of the neighborhood lifestyle. I want the viewer to say like, man, that's what it's really like, you know? How long have you been in your barrio? If you don't mind me, if I could ask you a couple questions. If not, it's cool también. I just want to see.
Oh, cool.
No, I
answer how long you've been from the neighborhood.
I grew up right here, man. You know.
Yeah.
All my life, shit.
All your life. Yeah. Wow. Was there a certain age that you said, hey, you know, I'm gonna get in the barrio, or were you just kind of like
young age?
Young, huh? And she was telling me that you've been home for a few years.
Yeah, I just got out for doing a long time.
How long were you down for?
16 years.
Oh man, homie, welcome home. Hey, welcome home, homie. Whenever I see the Canales come home, it makes me feel good, homies, because you know what? I understand, homie. Welcome home, Canal. Welcome home. You know?
And he came home to, so he lived across the street on this side street over here.
Right here.
Yeah.
So he was around when all the Mexican families were still here, and it was still lower income.
Yeah.
So when he came out to the changes of the gentrification.
Yeah.
You know, you got all the mixed races now here.
Yeah.
It's rich. They call it Rich Echo Park now. It's rich out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the money is just it's a money area now. So for us it was different, but for him I can imagine the shock, right?
The culture shock. Yeah, most definitely. Let me ask you, Colonel, being from the barrio, do you have any regrets? It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, Simon.
Sign up for.
Yeah, that's what you sign up for, Simon. If you had a memory that brings some kind of pain to your heart, Colonel, because we all have them, you know what I'm saying? A homeboy, a homegirl lost. If there was something that you wish that didn't happen, what would that be, Holmes?
My nephew passing away.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. When was that?
I was in a joint, so I don't know. What was it?
5 years ago?
5 years ago?
Oh man.
Yeah. So he missed a lot of.
Kind of missed a lot, you know. A lot has transpired, so.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, homie. You know.
That's the champ.
That's the champ right there, huh? So you see, familia, right here. This is reality. You know, this is Barrio Echo Parque right here, you know. And you see, we got the homeboys out here, you know, it's not a game, it's not a joke, you know. Once you make that decision, like, sabes que, this is my barrio, I mean, you know, you see, Vero got in with 13, right? Mm-hmm. 13. I mean, it's not like, I mean, she's still a homegirl. You know, Rich got in when he was young, he's still a homeboy, you know, and this is what it is. There are people that are dying out here, you know, there are people that die out here daily, you know, and you want to know what it is to really be Barrio Driven? This is what it is to be Barrio Driven. We're in Echo Parque. So anyway, man, thank you, Vero.
You're welcome. I'm glad you got to capture some of them.
Nah, the heart of your barrio, you know. So, those are your homeboys.
Yeah.
You love them.
Young ones, older ones.
And you love them.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes they get on my nerves, but.
That's what sometimes, you know what, people, you know, that are watching the show don't understand the love that we have for our barrios, the love that we have for our homeboys, our homegirls, you know. I share that same love, you know, for my neighborhood, and I never want nothing bad to happen to them.
So this is the alley where my little homeboy passed away.
Right here?
Yeah. Yesterday was his anniversary.
Echo Parque right here?
So,
oh, wow. Wow.
They came out, put candles.
We love you, homie. So right now we're basically in the trenches. That's what we like to say. You know, when we're out there in the heart of the barrio, when we're out there, there's, you know, the outskirts there. We're in the trenches right now. You know, we see right now we're spawning. We got a lot of your homeboys around. We got a lot, and this is where one of your homeboys was murdered. Yeah,
one of the little youngsters' crimes. It was Christmas Day.
Wow. How old was he?
I want to say either 19 or 20.
Oh man.
Yeah, young, but with heart. I mean, he was one of the, I would say one of the last of the youngsters too that had that old school mentality, but you know, kind of started going sideways and stuff.
Yeah.
As they all experience, right?
Yeah.
But good heart.
Wow.
Good heart.
You know, we see it's all blasted up for him, you know.
Yeah, they put candles.
Yeah.
Everybody comes up, hangs out right here on Christmas Day for him. And
wow. Yeah. That's a shame, you know.
Yeah.
That,
he lived with me for a while.
Did he?
Yeah. So he was one of the youngsters that I used to help and let him live at my house.
Yeah.
And he had just left my house maybe about 2-3 months before he passed away.
Wow.
And I had got him into homeboy industries and got him to work, and then kind of started slipping away, you know.
Yeah.
Got involved, I guess, you know, doing dope and shit like that. And one day I went to go visit my nephew that was in the hospital from a gunshot wound in the head. And the moment I walk into the ICU, I get a phone call that they shot him and he's dead.
Yeah.
So I left the hospital, came over here because they needed information.
Yeah.
They didn't, you know, have his name or nothing like that. So I came to give his name and stuff like that, talk to the police.
And you know what? Thank you for bringing us here. Now, for the audience that doesn't know, what would have happened to me if I would have came here on my own?
Oh, they would have jammed you up. Yeah. The same way police, you know, scoped you out, they would have did the same thing.
Yeah.
Hit you up where you're from, let you know where where you're at, and
I might have left. If I would have been able to leave at all, I might have left with a few, you know, looking a little bit.
Especially because what they just shared with you about the shooting right the other day, there was just, they don't know who they were shooting. Yeah. If it was just, you know, it was 3 a.m. So
yeah, exactly.
And to see, if you would have walked up here like that, they would have jammed you up. Right?
Yeah, you just don't walk into another barrio.
No.
You just don't walk into another barrio with saying, oh, here I am, I got a camera, I got some people, and we're gonna ask you questions. They don't work like that, gente.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you walk into any barrio, you show the utmost respect. You know what I'm saying? And make sure that you got a connect. This one is mine. I'm sorry for your loss, Vero.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for all that you've been through in life, you know. I thank you for bringing us to your neighborhood. We're gonna head back home. We're gonna head home, finish up the interview. Thank you, gente. This is Echo Parque.
That's right.
Damn, Vero, that was a good one. Well, we just got back from basically cruising the Echo Parque, Vero's Barrio, and as we went out there, and you took us to the site where your homeboy Trouble, right?
Yeah.
Trouble was murdered.
Yeah.
Where your nephew was shot.
Yeah.
Right in front of your carnal's pad. As we went to these, you know, areas, I mean, man, what was going through your mind knowing that this is the life that you chose, Vero? Because nobody put a gun to your head. Yeah. Nobody said, hey, sabes que, you're going to be from the barrio and this and that. You made that choice. So as we were out there, I mean, was there anything like, man, this is what I decided to do with my life, you know? And I mean that in the utmost respect because you have changed your life immensely now. You're doing good. You have your clothing brand, right?
Yes.
You have a clothing brand. You're honestly, you're a positive role model in the neighborhood. You're doing good. You know, you've helped out people. And knowing that how much you have changed now, how much she has changed, I mean, what was going through your mind? Did it say like, man, this is what I chose for my life? Did you even think that while we were out there at all? Or did you say like...
It's an everyday thought. So, you know, I still live, I'm very fortunate that I still live in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And just being up there, going up there, it's always a hurtful memory because every corner somebody was either shot or dead or got hurt and injured. And yesterday, Christmas Day, was, I would say, my second hurtful moment because one of my little homeboys got killed on Christmas Day.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Around the corner where I took you is where he died.
Yeah.
And so every day is always a memory, and there's always a thought of, you know, that somebody or that one homeboy, right? Or even if it was a good memory or a bad memory, it's just something that always crosses my mind no matter what. It's always there.
Let me ask you, at your age now, do you ever fear retaliation? And I ask you this because, you know, my homeboy Grimden, who has a very powerful story, if you have not seen it, please check it out. It was our very first episode. He said, we don't get to choose when payback comes. He said, but at my age now, when he's in his 40s, payback came for him. He was shot 5 times not too long ago, and they tried to kill him. You know, he's a father now, he's a husband now, you know, and they try to murder him, you know, he's no longer out there, but, you know, revenge came for him. Do you fear that revenge might come for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Even when it's just me and my husband and we're out somewhere or do something, I always worry because I worry for him of what he did in his payback, and then the stuff that him and I did together, or stuff that I did, you know, growing up. That's always in the back of, I think, everybody's head, that, you know, like, I know one day something's going to happen. I know and it could come in any which way or form, you know, and I always say that my illness is probably my payback. Because it's been so long that I've been dealing with it, and it's not, it gets better, it doesn't get better, it doesn't go away. So I always say, you know, this is my payback. But I gotta tell you this, I am very acceptant that if I die tomorrow, I don't have any regrets of what I did with my life.
Wow, that's heavy.
And I always tell, and it's funny because I have these conversations with my husband. I tell him, if God takes me now, I can be at peace knowing that I lived a not so good life, maybe all the time, right? Because there was bad, but I live it, and I don't live it. I don't have regrets for it. Like, to me, it was like, when we did shit, it's because you came and did shit to me. So fuck you now, you know. Now you're gonna feel my rage, right? Just like I shared about with my son in the shooting, right, when that happened. That's how I see it. Like, you come, you mess with, and I can tell you this much: I've always been a very humble person. I've never looked to fight. I never looked for trouble. If it was enemies, I always got along with everybody, and that's an odd thing about me. And my friends, and I can say my closest friends now, female wise, a lot of them are enemy from different neighborhoods, neighborhoods, and it's a trip because I know that I can count on them on a drop on a dime when I need them, opposed to my real, you know, homegirls, right? But I don't have regret, and I don't fear death, and that's something that took a lot for me to do, though. It wasn't, but it was as time went on, and I started thinking, bad's gonna happen, right, to me, and something I'm gonna have to answer for what I did, and just accepting that one day I'm gonna have to go. And
let me ask you before we end. So if God forbid, one day someone came for you because you hurt their nephew, you hurt their cousin, brother, whoever the case may be, and someone came to get Vero, and let's say your life was taken, would you say that you deserve that?
I said I had it coming.
That's heavy. Wow.
I mean, we all have something coming to us, you know, whether it's God that's going to take us, or it's because of the choices that we made. This is our payback, right? And it happened already. In about 2 years ago, I was in Whittier, and I was with my family. It was a big old cruise, and the enemy neighborhood, my enemy neighborhood, nobody even in East LA, like nothing like that, right? But it was more of it was petty on his side, because he was put in a situation, like, he felt like, I want to say, I took it this way, he felt like he was punked by one of my homeboys, but because it was I was the person that he knew that was from a neighborhood, and the other person that was related to my homeboy, she was from nowhere, but there was, like, you know, conversation that kind of went on, right? And he felt like, I can see just the reaction on his face, like, stupid, you know. And he was like, well, and you can just tell, like, he had some mastermind shit going in his head, like, how am I going to pay back? Like, I need to pay back, like, and the only one I'm going to pay back is Vero, because I know her, and I know her from being from a neighborhood. And so one day we're in Whittier, and we're hanging out, and my niece, my brothers, like, well, it's a big old family thing, we're there, and time's going on, and then I hear this girl coming up and, hey bitch, and she's just saying bitch, she's not saying names, so I'm not addressing it, right? I'm like, I don't know who she's talking to, and finally she says Vero. And I turn around, and my brother turns around, and she's coming towards me, and she's this big girl. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna get my ass beat, you know? And this is, mind you, 2 years ago. I haven't fought in years, forever. And so my brother gets in between, and I told her, who the fuck are you? And then she says who she, you know, who she is, where she's from, and you disrespect my homeboy, and da-da-da-da, you talking shit about him on social media. And I'm laughing, because if anybody knows me, I hardly put anything about Echo Park. Like, I don't, you know, I'll put old pictures of me and, you know, throwback shit like that, right? But I don't ever, like, hey, stranger, Echo Park, blah, 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 like, any, you know, fuck you or fuck this neighborhood. I don't do that. Even when I do my shows, people ask me to throw up my neighborhood and stuff. I don't do it because, one, I'm not in my neighborhood. And I'm not going to disrespect anybody else's neighborhood. So this girl's, you know, telling me I did this, I posted shit about her homeboy on social media, talking shit, disrespecting their hood. And she's disrespecting my hood like crazy, like just saying fuck Park, and I'm just letting it go. I'm like, let her, you know. But my mind was like, react, and then, you know, I had a lot to lose, which is my business and what I built. And I was like biting my tongue, and I'm letting her run her mouth, and finally I take my keys off, and I told her, well, what you want to do? Let's do it. You got all this anger. When it hit me, I'm right here.
Well, let's do it.
I'm not, you know, you got that anger, you're gonna swing at me then. She wouldn't. She didn't come at me. I didn't go attack her because I don't know what cameras are around me, or, you know. So I'm like, you want to hit me first. Go ahead. I'll give you that opportunity. So then I had my college friend with me. And she's like, no, you know, total different scene for her. And no, let's go. Why? Come on, Vero. She's pulling me, yanking me. And I'm like, nah, fuck this, you know. She wants to do something. So she gets me in the car and drives me off. And but before we get in the car, one of her friends comes around, and she's like, nah, fuck you, Vero. We're going to take care of this. So she swings at me, I swing at her, and then my friend gets in the middle, and we're separated. I get in the car, she drives off, and I'm at my car trying to get back to my brother, my niece, because I have them there. While that's going on, here come the guys. Oh, man. And they come, you know, guns, everything. And I was like, really? Because you said I posted something on social media, right? But when that happened, that was like a big wake-up call for me, because I was like, if I got motherfuckers coming at me
with straps,
at my age now, when I don't gang bang and I don't put my shit out there, like, you know, it was a big concern for me. It was a really big eye opener for me. And my husband's like, you can't do any shows. I don't want you going alone no more. And he would never go to shows with me because he didn't really care for it, right? And now he's with me all the time. But having that moment happen, and I didn't know that was going on till when we got back home. My brother was like, they fucking came, they pulled out guns, they're looking for you, what did you do? And I'm like, I didn't do nothing. I explained to him what I did. I went and I had fought with some girl that had nothing to do with him, but because a phone call was made, I was made to look as the bad one, right? And because he only knew me, he didn't know who my other friends were, because they weren't from neighborhoods. So I took the fall for it. Wow. And for that to happen, my husband's like, you can't be alone.
Well, you know what? That's like, I was talking to Demon from Quiet Village, and there's one thing that we had said in that episode. The choices that we make when we're young. We're not even old enough to get a job. We're not old enough to fucking almost clean our own ass, basically, you know. We're not old enough to make life decisions. But at an age where we're like 13, 14, 15, 16, and we make that choice to get into the water, to get into the neighborhood, it affects us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's I can't even say it was a deal breaker, but I know, like, all the shit that I went through and everything that I learned growing up, you know, in my neighborhood, and as I got older and I got involved with my neighborhood and the community, we were hit with a gang injunction. I know there was a lot of neighborhoods that were hit with that. Nobody knew what to do with it. It was brought to my attention, and I, you know, reading this gang injunction, and I noticed my nephews, my brothers, my husband, my son's name
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, they're talking about my family.
Yeah.
You know, this is where the change, this is where my big evolvement came, and where I started realizing, okay, we're a neighborhood and we're making this impact on our lives, but it's a big impact with police, right?
Yeah.
And they see us as a nuisance. They see us as a problem. You know, we're the ones that destroy it and create all this havoc in our neighborhoods, right? But you don't know us as an individual person, and you're judging. You're calling my son's and my nephew's son second in command to taking the throne. I'm like, the throne of what?
Yeah.
Of a street that really don't belong to us, right? But because we grew there and this is our neighborhood and we're very prideful for it.
Yeah.
So all those, when I seen that injunction, I'm like, I gotta do something. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I was an accountant for 10 years. Wow. The area where I took you, you know, where the shooting happened, where they shot my nephew, they shot my homeboy around the corner. I was blessed to run into an old friend of mine that was doing gang intervention.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that exists. I didn't even know the city had something like that going on. And what blew my mind is that this is a city-funded program. And you're working hand in hand with police. Yeah. So it was mind-blowing to know that there was something like that going on. That friend got me into the line of work that I do now. Wow. And I met some amazing people. We were able to make changes. We were, you know, shutting down the streets. Yeah. We were doing rallies at the police stations. And I don't know where the burst of energy came from. I think the motivation was because I kept seeing my brother, my nephews, my husband's name. And that was a vision that was in my head, right? Like, and it comes back to, you're fucking with my family. Yeah. That instinct again. So I'm jumping in. Now I got to learn to be, now I got to figure out, how am I going to be political? How am I going to get people to help me? How am I going to get people to trust me? Because they know me from being from the neighborhood, right? And I managed to do it. I was the first Latina in my neighborhood to have the highest votes for my neighborhood council. And there was probably 6 or 10 others of us that got nominated to be part of the neighborhood council. We were Latina. There was different mixed race, but majority was Latino, Latina. Yeah. And when they gave us our votes, I remember running off to the bathroom. I started crying, and my husband follows me. He's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I did this to piss off people. I didn't do it to commit, right? But I did it to piss off LAPD, because now you have a homegirl." Yeah. And you have a knowledgeable one. No, I'm not stupid. I'm book educated too, you know? And, but I told my husband, I gotta help all these people. What am I gonna do? Yeah. And I'm bursting into tears because I'm like, it's like a seminal, because their life is in my hands. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do to help my husband and my nephew to get off of this. And it was sweat and tears. Yeah. I fought sweat and tears to do my job, and we were able to overturn the injunction. That's right. And it came out in the LA Times, my nephew's pictures there. And I remember going to court fighting this, doing all this, right? My brother, so the stuff that went on was police took 9 people away from my neighborhood, because this was their way of saying this is why this injunction was implemented, and my brother was the main one. And they had him in the court as the leader. Like, you literally had a shrine in the walls. My brother, the second command, the followers, and my brother told these ones to do this job and to go do this job, and this is why this, you know, murder case happened. So it was like, it was so mind-blowing, but I learned so much during that time when I became part of my neighborhood council and helping this injunction. ACLU came involved. I met some amazing ass people, and they schooled me on what I had to do. And they used me for my knowledge, because everything that was that injunction that was written in there was falsified. Yeah. So I was reading, going through like homework, you know, crossing this out, putting notes on here, this person. They had pictures of people that were trying to say they were from my neighborhood. They weren't even from my neighborhood. Yeah. So they used me for that, and I was working hand in hand with some amazing people, like I said, and we were able to get, out of 9, we were able to get 7 people off, and my brother was one of the main ones.
That's amazing, Vero.
But it took money from my parents, you know, it took their life savings away to just get one of the best lawyers to try to help my brother. And all we needed was one, right? We needed just one lawyer that was going to do his job to help the rest to get off. The other 2, you know, they got found guilty for other stuff. And, but it's, other than like the gang banging stuff and all the shit that I went through, that's not the only stuff you worry about when you're from a neighborhood. You worry about the smutting up that police is going to do to you, right? The corruption.
There's so many things that you can worry about.
Yeah, and we don't know, and especially like Latino families too, like a lot of the Latino families in the neighborhood, they had no clue what to do.
Yeah.
I had people from enemy neighborhoods coming, asking me to help them to get off of it.
Yeah.
And it came to the point where we called a peace treating. In 2014, I was given an award for peace treating, bringing 3 of the rival gangs in Echo Park together, the ones that were like the worst, hating on each other, to call a truce. We had to call a truce because if we didn't, LAPD was using everything that was going on as using it for their court hearing.
Well, you know what, Vero, we are extremely proud of you, and we are proud to call you our homegirl. We are. You know what? And gracias for all the work you've done for our gente, for our people. I know we all appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you from the bottom of our heart. Where can they find your clothing brand?
I have an Etsy account, and it's Mi Vida Loca brand. If you guys can't find it on Etsy, because I know sometimes it's, navigating computer is hard, but you can go to my Instagram at Vero Echo Park, and in my bio, my link is there, and it takes you directly to my store. I try to keep to the culture, my era, the 80s and 90s, you know, so everything you see reflects back to the 80s and 90s. No hoodies, because I wasn't a 90s baby. Hoodies came out in the 90s. But I got a bunch of the crew necks. I got the little pom-pom booty socks, jewelry, makeup. A lot of my pictures, original pictures from the movie. You're also able to purchase some on my Etsy too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gente, raza, support our homegirl, Vero. Go to her social media, go to her site, her Etsy is called, right?
Etsy, yeah. Etsy. It's an Etsy store.
It's an Etsy store. Go to the store. Pick up her gear, pick up her Mi Vida Loca gear. If you have not seen the movie, please check it out and support my girl. Thank you for watching. This is Barrio Driven.
Avant, tu voyais que de la merde. Maintenant, au moins, tu vois plus rien.
Thank you, familia, for tuning in today. Right here, we're with Barrio Parque, and this right here, this is the trenches. This is the heart of the neighborhood. This is what they've lived, what they've died for, their blood, sweat, and tears. This is their barrio, and for them, their barrio es primero. Thank you for tuning in today. This is Barrio Parque.